We all need money and we all have to use banks. So it's important that we know how they work and what they do with our money. This industry has been around for centuries, and we've traditionally trusted them to provide us with financial stability and security. A world without them would be a chaotic place because they maintain the economy and ensure that people can access their money anytime. However, there is some information that is worth knowing, and I believe that we all have the right to be informed about something as important as our own finances and banking practices. If you are interested, please continue reading to learn the 5 truths about money that banks don't want you to know. 5 truths about your money that banks don't want you to know. Number 1. Banks make a lot of money by lending your money. Banks are in the money business. They are not in the lending business. They loan money that they have collected from you or another bank, or by selling it to someone else. The person who lends money has a strong interest in making sure that their customer is getting paid back on time and at a decent rate of interest. It's not their job to make sure you know the truth, so it will be up to us, the customers, to demand full disclosure by asking questions of our bankers. This is old-school banking 101 stuff that if people knew about it back then would never have been allowed at all, because banks are more interested in making money than the truth. However, in return for borrowing from customers, banks generally compensate them with a certain amount of interest rate and provide security for their funds. Although this interest rate is far lesser than what they charge on the money they lend, thereby profiting off from the interest rate spread, i.e. difference between the interest paid and the interest received. Number 2. Banks make money from debit card charges. Banks make money from debit card fees charged to merchants who accept those cards from their customers. Banks charge those fees because those merchants pay for it with a higher markup to their customers. Once again, a customer is paying for something that's not really a bank service. Some people call these interchange fees, but they are charged by banks and given to merchants as a fee to cover the cost of accepting the bank's plastic. If you pay extra at the grocery store because your bank charges them extra for accepting its credit cards, or it charges you more for using another company's credit card, then that merchant must pass that cost along to you, as well as keep some of it as profit. It's really a double dip. The bank charges the merchants more to accept their debit cards, which get passed on to you at higher prices at the store. You also may be charged for using another company's credit card because your bank wants to make extra money for doing nothing. Number 3. Banks make money from overdraft fees. Banks are supposed to be careful with your money by only giving you what they have on hand for you to spend. If something happens and you need more money, the bank must make sure that they have enough for you to spend before they allow you to draw on it. This is basic bank practice, but there are some special rules that apply to specific situations. If your account is in good standing, one of these situations where the bank is legally permitted to overdraw your account, then the bank can overdraw your account without any limits unless there are other legal constraints placed on them that don't allow them to do so. So, what really happens if a bank allows you to overdraw your account? If you exceed the amount on your account at any time, then they will charge you for it if they can get away with it. Let's say you overdraw your account by making a purchase for $110 and the bank gives you the money without noticing that your balance is only $100. Then your checking account will be reflected as having a positive balance of $110. The extra charges you pay for doing this are what are called overdraft fees. The bank continues to charge you until all the money is returned. Number 4. Banks make money from the interest rates on your credit card. Anytime you get a new credit card, you have to pay the bank the APRA, annual percentage rate, which is declared in your credit contract. The APRA is not necessarily what you are charged in interest, but rather it is an indicator of how much interest you are paying in relation to what you are borrowing. The way they make money is when people buy things with their credit cards when it isn't really necessary. If you can't pay off your card at the end of each month, then the bank will be charging roughly 29% on all of the purchases that you made throughout the month and will continue to charge you for them until they get all of their money back. Sometimes these interests can be increased without your knowledge, so it is advisable to always check and make inquiries in order not to go broke. Number 5. Your money in the bank is not physical. This is an absurd claim to make, but the money that you put in your bank account is not really physical. The money that you carry with you on the outside of your bank account is actually electronic information. When they write down your check number, that information represents an amount that is deducted from the account. The check itself goes into their records, but does not exist outside of their system. It's like when you send someone a copy of your picture, but the person still has the picture in their possession. You can make copies of it and keep the copies in your possession, but you cannot give them to anyone else because they do not exist outside of yourself. When you write a personal check for $500 to your friend, then that check represents $500 taken out of your account. However, $500 never left any bank or other financial institution, which means that what you sent is not money, rather a representation of money. Basically, it's just a piece of electronic information.